Mr. Doshi, directors, thank you very much for this kind invitation, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is we can't explain to you what a privilege it is to be here in India and speaking to all of you in this capacity. If I can share with you a story. When I was born in a small village of Bambili, my grandfather had my hand read when I was a young child, and he used to tell me this story many times. And he said, 3 things are going to happen to you. And that one is you are going to go far away, like go outside of India. And at that time, it wasn't, we were a small farming family. How could that happen? And so I guess that's true, considering I grew up in Canada. The other one he said is you're going to marry a girl of your own choice. And 25 years later, I have married a beautiful Indian girl who was born in Vancouver, and we have 2 beautiful children. And but our parents were involved with the decision afterwards as well. So that became true. And then he also, actually those 4 things, and the third thing is that there's going to be a life-death experience as well. That something's going to happen, either he's going to survive or he's not. And there's a break in the line. And so electrocuted when I was about 4 years old in our village, and I survived that. My mother still complains about my dark complexion because I got electrocuted. The rest of my family is lighter skin. And I've been close to death many times in combat. That's just a part of being a soldier. I'm hoping that's the last that we've proven that one. And the third one, so the final one was that you're going to be very wealthy, okay? So I'm still waiting for that one, monetary means. But having said this, but the wealth that I've been able to achieve with a wonderful family, and having an opportunity to serve my country as a police officer and a soldier, and now as a Minister of National Defense and as a Member of Parliament, there is no greater wealth than this. And now from opportunity for me to give back as well. So I'm truly honored to be here with all of you today. As I stated, this trip is a bit of a homecoming for me. It was my first trip to India since being sworn in as the Minister of National Defense of Canada by Prime Minister Trudeau in November 2015. And as I stated, I was born in a very small village of Bambili in the district of Hoshiarpur. And my parents immigrated to Canada when I was 5 years old in 1976. And my father was a member of the Punjab Police Force at that time, but he made a choice to make a life in Canada. And I can tell you, every memory that I have of my childhood is a happy one, and very fond memories. And looking forward to going back to where I was born. Actually, not just where I was born, but actually in the house where I was born as well. And just kind of set this into context as well. So coincidentally, I might be the Minister of National Defense today, but there's a small town in Ontario, there's a gravesite there with a headstone of Private Bookham Singh, one of 11 Indian origin, 6, who joined the Canadian military to fight in World War I. And he was injured and then buried. And just coincidentally, when I was a commanding officer and went to his Remembrance Day ceremony, that Private Bookham Singh was from Malpur. And Malpur is a town very close to my friend as well, and so his village is very close to Malpur. So it's just a very coincidence that you might see me as a minister, but it was because of pioneers like Private Bookham Singh and many others who really made it possible for somebody like myself to be in this position today. So I cherish my memories and my Indian roots, and I use every opportunity to teach my children about their heritage. As much as I'm proud of my heritage, I'm also extremely proud to be Canadian as well. And I've served Canada in many different roles, as mentioned earlier, as a police officer in the gang crime unit in Vancouver, where I was tackling organized crime and drug violence. I also served as an officer in the Canadian Armed Forces, served in Bosnia and 3 combat deployments to Afghanistan. And I only say the following is to highlight some tangibles. Is I was decorated both by the Canadian and the U.S. military So for my actions in fighting terrorism and the Taliban in Afghanistan. And today, I'm extremely proud to serve as a Member of Parliament for Vancouver South and to be Canada's Minister of National Defence. And it's with the great opportunities Canada has presented me, so it gives me great pleasure to say that I was born in India, and I'm very proud of that fact, which is something that I've highlighted everywhere I've gone, and it has opened many doors for me as well. So ladies and gentlemen, but I'm also no stranger to conflict, and your organization here does some tremendous research on how to prevent conflict, to understand it better. So in my first deployment to Kandahar in 2006, I was kind of thrown into an unforeseen situation, and I became the architect of an operation called Operation Medusa, where we removed about 1,500 fighters, Taliban fighters, off the battlefield. And I was very proud to be on the main assault of that one of the force. But even though I was recognized for my efforts, there's one question that always nagged me. How did the Taliban become so large after the defeat in 2001? So it turns out we did not address the root cause of the original problem that brought them to rise. So the work that I undertook in this field over the years afterwards has given me considerable knowledge in this aspect. So knowledge that I'm now bringing with me as a Minister of National Defence, and it gives me a very unique perspective on modern conflicts. So I'd like to take a moment to pay tribute to your foundation's work in the area of defense and security. So it's a true privilege for me to be here with all of you, some great minds, thinkers with all your experience, for helping to create policy that will make our both countries better. And given India's importance in the Indo-Asia-Pacific region, this trip is an important opportunity to build and strengthen our bilateral relations, especially as it relates to defense. And now I am exploring working together in areas of naval cooperation with the Indian military on cold climate warfare, joint exercises, counterterrorism, and sharing advances in defense research and innovation. I'm also interested in opportunities for Canada's defense industry to develop closer ties with India. And this is an area where we can benefit from each other's expertise. As Canada's Minister of Defence, I believe strongly that collaboration among partners and allies is crucial to strengthen global peace and security. In this respect, Canada and India have a strong foundation on which to build. Our countries have significant people-to-people ties and have enjoyed long-standing bilateral relations. A relationship based on shared values and traditions such as democracy, pluralism, and respect for the rule of law. Canada and India are also important trading partners in sectors ranging from agriculture and education to entertainment and energy resources. The strategic partnership between our nations is evident given the many recent visits that my cabinet colleagues have made in the past year. And Prime Minister Trudeau and Prime Minister Modi have also engaged in dialogue, including at the Nuclear Security Summit in Washington last year. These high-level engagements speak volumes about Canada's recognition of India's importance in today's dynamic security environment. India has made major contributions to peace operations by sending battalion groups, engineers, medical teams, observers, and staff personnel on some of the most challenging peacekeeping missions in history. Indian troops have served in Cambodia, Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Ivory Coast, Western Sahara, and several other key places. And in fact, I had the pleasure of meeting several Indian peacekeepers in Goma last summer, and I was inspired by their experience and valued the insight they provided me during our brief conversation. And over 220,000 Indian troops have participated in United Nations peacekeeping missions, more than any other country. So your contribution is remarkable. But it has come at a great cost. Unfortunately, 165 Indian soldiers have made the ultimate sacrifice in support of peace. And the international community is forever indebted to them for their sacrifice. Like India, Canada has also a proud tradition of peacekeeping, dating back to Prime Minister Lester B. Pearson. And some 120,000 Canadians have served in more than 50 UN operations from Cyprus to Cambodia, and more recently in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Haiti, and South Sudan. It was Pearson who first promoted the creation of a UN-led peacekeeping force in 1956 to resolve the strife in the Suez Canal, an achievement that earned him the Nobel Peace Prize 60 years ago. So, ladies and gentlemen, the peacekeeping of yesterday no longer reflects the changing nature of conflict today. Today's missions are often undertaken where there is no peace to keep. These missions are more about peace support and the protection of civilians than they are about traditional peacekeeping. Modern peace support operations take place in complex and hostile environments where belligerents are often not identified, civilians are being targeted, and arms, drugs, and people are being trafficked. It is no secret that peace missions are under strain as well. Nor is it surprising that the United Nations has requested that countries with advanced militaries play a larger role. And in Canada, we understand that evolving conflicts abroad have a real impact on our national security and Canadian interests, and many other countries do as well. So we in Canada cannot be an island of stability in an ocean of turmoil. So since forming government, Prime Minister Trudeau has committed Canada to multilateralism, and more strongly than ever in many years. We have pledged troops and have launched our new Peace and Stabilization Operation Program worth $400 million. Our commitment also includes an increase of up to 150 police officers deployed to support UN operations. And our commitment doesn't end there. Canada will also be hosting the United Nations Peacekeeping Defense Ministerial Summit later this year. Canada has not only contributed to peace operations, we had many hard-fought battles in Afghanistan for over 10 years. And Canada continues to make valuable contributions to several international missions currently today, including in Iraq, the Ukraine, and soon in Latvia. In addition, Canada has been involved in the counter-ISIL core group, where 13 nations come together and look at how we're going to be tackling the greater threat of ISIS. And we make significant contributions, have evolved, and our approach has evolved from a strategic military one to a more comprehensive government approach as well. We know that military might alone will not resolve modern conflicts today. Conflict prevention requires a deep understanding of the root causes of the conflict. It is not enough just to send soldiers. The military buys us time to allow diplomacy and development to work. We also need to address the social and political factors that allow conflicts to fester in the first place. That is why Canada's approach to conflict prevention and peace support is a whole-of-government effort. We believe we need to understand the fundamental causes of conflict and learn from the experts who are working directly in the field. We also must be frank about what is working and what is not working, and consider innovative approaches to international peace operations. Now, in terms of innovative approaches, let me reiterate that the military alone will not be able to deliver security and restore a country to a peaceful state. I firmly believe that non-government organizations, international organizations, and business community are playing a very important role in conflict zones, and we can learn much from their experiences and perspectives. I also feel strongly that we need to empower women in conflict and involve them in decision-making in security matters. I know this is an area where India excels, and I applaud India for deploying the first unit composed entirely of female police officers in the UN mission to Liberia. We also need to support younger generations in their education and eventually in their gainful employment. This is a particularly important case in Africa, where close to 60% of the population is 25 years or less. So by working to address the root causes of conflict, by engaging other nations to work with us, and by supporting initiatives ranging from training to humanitarian assistance, development, and education, we can maximize our contributions and increase our chances of success. All of these things are needed today to achieve international peace and security. Now let me say a few words about Canada's efforts to renew our defense policy. Our government has been engaged in some deep thinking about priorities and objectives over the past year. We recently undertook a comprehensive review of our defense policy to address emerging peace and security challenges, both at home and abroad. The review was rigorous and evidence-based, involving unprecedented consultations with Canadians, academia, experts, Parliament, and our allies. Consultations of this magnitude have not taken place since the 1990s. This process explored three key topics. The first was to examine the main challenges to Canada's security. The second, assess the Canadian Armed Forces' role in addressing threats and challenges now and into the future. The third area we looked at was at what resources and capabilities would be required to effectively tackle these challenges. The input we received from consultations and our analysis of these key questions has informed a new policy approach that reflects a vision Canadians have for our country and where it is going to be heading into the coming years. A policy that responds effectively to both the challenges and opportunities inherent in the world now and into the future. And now I am in the process of finalizing Canada's new defense policy, which I will be soon releasing in the coming months. So in closing, let me restate that the importance of a cooperative approach in building a more stable world, and doing this with allies and partners that share our interests and values. This is especially true in the Asia Pacific, a region that has great importance to both Canadian security and prosperity. Canada's innovation agenda and strength in the defense and security sector can easily be overlooked. We are a humble nation, and one that seems far away from India, but Canada is much of a Pacific country, and we are back on the world stage and ready to make a difference. I firmly believe that Canada and India have much to offer in terms of defense and security. We share a commitment to peace support operations and conflict resolutions. We live in societies that are diverse and built on pluralism, democracy, and the rule of law. And ladies and gentlemen, this is my first trip to India as Minister of National Defense, and I can assure you it will not be my last. And I look forward to taking your questions and diving more deeper into some of the root causes of conflict and what we're going to be doing. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity.
So the Honourable Minister has kindly agreed to take a few questions. I have two important announcements for you to bear in mind. One, please, it would be appreciated if you stick to the theme of the talk today, which is peacekeeping and conflict resolution in the contemporary international environment. And for the media personnel here, I think the Honourable Minister will be addressing media later on at 5 o'clock, so I think that should allow them a separate entry point into his viewpoint. So I think they should leave the floor open for others to examine some of the contentions here. So with that, I think we have three questions, individuals who were pre-identified. So let me start with them and then we'll take another round. So Stefania?
Yes. Yeah. Good morning. My name is Stefania Benavi and I represent the Italian think tank Istituto Affari Internazionali. I gathered from the news that during your visit you will be meeting a lot of industry leaders and business. So my question is, what are your expectations on your visit, and how do you envisage Canada to position itself vis-a-vis the competitive Indian defense market? Thank you.
Were the expectations of my visit and the last bit of your question?
How do you envisage Canada to position itself vis-a-vis the India defense market, which is quite a competitive one?
Oh, I see. My visit here is about, it's very important for, I realize is nations don't build relations, people do. And so it was very important for me to come personally, to come to India and build this relation directly. It is no secret that our Prime Minister rightfully says many times that he has more members in his cabinet and caucus of Indian descent than Prime Minister Modi does. And there is no secret that many cabinet ministers have made visits here to India. And we have a great opportunity to build on the great work from a defense relationship perspective. We haven't